conditions, such as the quota. So this is sometimes unpopular or in some member states, but I believe that when there is this quota to guarantee the diversity in managerial positions, that it works better. And for me, quota doesn't mean that a fantastic man, educated, experience is replaced by a woman. We have a lot of fantastic, well-educated, experienced women to do the jobs. Now to journalists. We see that the conditions for female journalists are worsening. Also here, the Commission wants to take action. We are recommending the member states to increase the safety of journalists. 73% of journalists, female journalists, participating in a UNESCO survey declared that they have experienced online violence in the course of their work. And we know too well that online violence then leads very often to offline violence, and this is unacceptable. So we are really trying to increase the protection of journalists, and we will see what the reaction of the member states will be. We will come with the recommendation in September. Last but not least, we are mobilizing EU funding. So here come some figures. I want to highlight our Creative Europe Media program, which you know, I hope. It has been a success story for more than 30 years, and this program is bigger than ever, with around 1.43 billion euro for 7 years. And today in Europe, only 1 film in 5 is directed by a woman. We want this to change, and it is not only about directors. We see today in the campaign that there is a wide range of professions in the media and audiovisual sectors, which are less known but exciting as well. In the new media program, we require applicants to make a commitment to implement diversity goals in their company strategies. We ask them to take action to make their teams more diverse, and this is rewarded in the evaluation process. Let's be clear on that. This is not about the content. We fully respect artistic freedom, but we strongly believe that more diverse teams bring richer content. Let me also highlight that the media program has been supporting mentoring programs, and this is something we want to do more. I heard in the past, whenever we spoke about the gender equality issues, that there is too much mentoring and not enough sponsoring. So this is what we try to correct now. So I would like to thank all those involved in these efforts in the campaign, and I encourage you to spread this news to the world. This campaign should really help to make the world, or at least Europe, better. I am a true believer that you can manage. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Věra. So now we're going to watch a video interview with Anca Damian, a Romanian director who's also very inspiring. She previously directed the animated film Marona's Fantastic Tale.
Mediul cinematografic român e în general masculin și locul pentru femei în zona creativă de imagine de film nu prea era deschis. Eu nu am făcut studii de animație, am învățat singură și poate de aceea mă simt și foarte liberă.
So Delphyne Besse, you are the co-founder of the advocacy group 50/50, which used to be called, by the way, 50/50 for 2020, but now that we're in 2021. Over the last 3 years, you have pushed every major film festival, starting with Cannes in 2018, to sign a gender and diversity pledge. And I wonder what's going to be the next step for you.
Well, one of the next step, of course, is the launch of this campaign, because like I was thinking earlier, actually, this is just the beginning. I mean, we've been working on this for over 9 months. It's like pregnancy, and this is giving birth right now, and we really want the campaign to be shared as widely as possible, because the idea is really to inspire younger women to consider careers they may not consider just because they feel that this is not their place. So the idea was really to focus on jobs where women are still widely underrepresented, like stunt performance or sound, all the sound positions in the film. Like there are only 10% of female music composers. Cinematography, it's about 15%. I mean, we dug up a lot of figures during the process of making the campaign, and it's actually everything is available on the website, so you can have a look. Also, I mean, like Hind was mentioning earlier, I mean, the videos we're showing, it's only the shorter version of the portraits, and of course there are longer versions that you can also take a look at on the website, because all those women, 12 women we found, were really impressive and inspiring, and like I mean, we really want their work to be seen and the campaign to be shared. So it's only the beginning, and like I said, I mean, the next step for the campaign will be we have 12 videos to unveil. We're only showing 3 here, so the next ones will be unveiled in the next month, and the idea is to partner with other film festivals. And of course, because our target audience is the younger generation, so the idea would also be to have some partnerships with film schools, to create more awareness, and to really have those women shine, and hopefully again create vocations. And last but not least, I think it's important also to create sort of a sense of community among those women in the European industry, because most of them, I mean, when you work in a technician position, sometimes it's kind of a lonely job. I mean, for instance, Susie, the Austrian person in the campaign, she's a color grader, and she's the only woman, I mean, who is a color grader in Austria, and she's a freelancer. So I think also, I mean, create a sense of community and some kind of sorority between all those women that we managed together, and not just the 12 that we actually filmed, but more of them, because there is a galaxy of talented women all over Europe, and the idea would be really to bring them together and make them grow as much as we can help.
And you're also working with other advocacy groups in
yes,
Europe, right?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, the DNA of the Collectif was always very international. I mean, we started in Cannes in 2018, and Cannes is our home because it's France, but it's also the most international film festival. So we always were in touch with other groups like Time's Up in the US, or IWA for Europe, Women in Film International. I mean, there are so many great, sister organizations, and the idea is really to always talk to each other and exchange, ideas and good practices, and I mean, everybody's doing a great job, and of course the whole change has to be global anyway, so the really idea is to inspire, from other and share inspirations and ideas.
Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing, and I'm sure that we'll see much progress at festivals, and it's already a lot that you've accomplished in 3 years. So now we're going to watch a video interview with Anne Rasmussen, who's a Danish badass stunt woman who's working on some of the biggest Nordic TV series and movies, from the Netflix show The Rain to Riders of Justice with Mads Mikkelsen, which is one of the biggest Nordic movies of the last year. So let's watch it.
Da jeg startede i branchen for over 20 år siden, der er få jobs til stunt-kvinder. Der var ikke så meget opmærksomhed på, at der var det meget normalt, at mænd doblede de kvindelige skuespillere. Og som 43-årig tror jeg, at jeg er en af de eneste kvinder i den her aldersgruppe i Europa, der stadig sådan fortsat arbejder med stunt.
So Hind Bensari, you directed all the videos that you just watched. that we just watched, and you're also a social justice advocate. Your documentary 475 Break the Silence received critical acclaim and helped spark a civic movement which succeeded in repealing a law allowing men accused of rape to marry their victims. Hind's latest feature documentary, We Could Be Heroes, world premiered at the Hot Docs International Film Festival in 2018, and it won the Best International Documentary Award. So Hind, could you tell us, throughout your traveling across Europe, what you found out from those discussions with those great women?
In the 12 or 10 countries we visited, 10 different countries we visited in less than a month and a half. We met women ranging from, of age from 27 to their late 60s. Their experience as women were vastly different depending on the country, their own experience, their own personal experience, but they all felt a sense of having had to either fight or having had to, or for the younger generations, they felt like they wanted to disconnect from, anything related to gender, and they just wanted to be applauded for their work. What I learned is that every country in Europe is different, every situation in Europe is different. There are things like in Italy, for example, we were told that, a woman who goes to the pharmacy to get the day after pill can be rejected because pharmacists feel that they're objectors. They don't want them to not have a baby, and they feel they can not sell them the day after pill. When we were in Sofia, for example, in Bulgaria, the Galia who we met is an investigative journalist in finance. She outlined a lot of stories of corruption, and she was personally followed, restrained. All her assets were restrained for a very long time, still today, but she carries on doing her job and she carries on being applauded for it. Susie, as you said, is the only woman color grader in the whole country at 35. And every single one of them had her own story. Every single one of them had her own cachet. But what's the link between all 12 of them is that they did their job because they loved their job and they succeeded at doing it. And I think that's the message of the campaign, is that difficulties are here to be raised and here to be shown and here to be challenged. But in the end, the woman who wants to do something always succeeds. And my vision for each portrait was really to talk about their work, first and foremost. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, they're great role models for the young women who will watch those videos. So thank you for making them. So now we're going to watch actually a video interview with Uèle Lamore, who's a 27-year-old French-American music composer and a conductor who recently created the original score of Aïssa Maïga's first film, and she also worked with the cult French musician Etienne Dao. Let's watch it.
Je suis devenue compositrice de musique de film un peu de fil en aiguille. Je n'ai pas été formée pour ça. La partie que je préfère dans le processus de création d'une BO, c'est le moment où on enregistre la BO. Je pense qu'il n'y a pas de meilleur moment que ça. En France, les gens trouvent ça extraordinaire qu'une femme fasse de la musique de film, alors que ça ne l'est pas. Je préférais qu'on se concentre sur autre chose, comme la qualité de la musique elle-même.
So now, Safia Kessas is a radio journalist who has been working for the Belgian public broadcaster RTBF since 2000, and she has also been the editor of the biggest radio channel in French-speaking Belgium called La Première. She founded a feminist news project called Les Grenades, which is part of RTBF. She's here with us, and she's in charge of the broadcaster's diversity plan. Hello, Safia.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, it's a pleasure to have you. I mean, you're a front runner in Belgium, and I wanted to know what prompted you to found this great feminist news project.
I think it was just a reflection about the evolution of the society. With Me Too, it was really necessary to go with all the reflection about equality, and people needed it. So, as a public service, we thought that it was the moment to talk about gender issues specifically in mainstream media.
And do you feel, I mean, you've been working in the industry for so long, that there's been some evolution? Because it seems that journalism is still, I mean, the news media industry, and especially broadcasters, are still dominated by white males.
I think it's always a question of stereotypes. We think that we have to fight stereotypes, but I think that we have to unbuild them, because if you just think that you will erase stereotypes, you will solve the problem, but it's more complicated because they are invisible hierarchy and also horizontal segregation. And you have to work deeply in the media, get to the core, and put diversity and equality in every level of decision, to put women in key decisions, for instance, or in the heart of the narrative. And so for me, in the media, it's the first thing to do is to work about unconscious bias. And because we are, everyone, we all around us, no one thinks that he is or she is sexist or even racist, but we are partial, and we have to work on that all together. With the male, the white male also, we have to work together to reach a better and a better society and a better environment.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to open the floor to questions. Do you have any questions for us? Yes.
The mic is coming.
Just I think it's a wonderful initiative, and it's marvellous that it's so collective and international, because it's extremely important that happens. I'm just wondering if you're working at all with UN Women or any of the United Nations, only from the perspective of some of the campaigns that they do around gender have a huge social media impact, and whether that would be helpful, and if it is, I can put you in touch.
Yeah, actually, well, this is a European Union initiative, so we are not directly linked to UN Women, of course, but like you said, I mean, they do very interesting campaigns, and the idea would be to partner at some point as well, maybe to give more, awareness around the campaign, because, like you said, they have a great, they're doing a great job, so I think it would be great if we could have this kind of connection at some point.
Any other questions?
I just wanted to clarify, so the idea is to contact people who are in creative positions in Europe and connect them? Is that the idea of?
So that's not the core idea. The core idea was really to highlight a few women, so a handful of women who are working in positions that are still, first of all, perceived as masculine, and also in terms of figures are still indeed male dominated. But well, I was saying that, yeah, I think it's bad because it's something, I mean, when we started working, the really idea was to highlight those role models for the younger women and you know, to say, look, you can do it, everybody can do it. So, but I think again, yeah, that it's also very interesting at some point to try and connect all those women, because they have a, you know, they have just share a common experience somehow, and I think it would be a bigger driving force, and also in terms of, you know, connecting European professionals, because they can work anywhere, you know, most of them. So I guess it would be interesting to have like a sort of a kind of creating some kind of network and community starting from the campaign.
I think if I can just add, from what I understood, that there is an educational component to the campaign where the videos are going to be sent to schools and, just like to educate young people, young women, but also young men to understand that women can do those jobs. And then there is also a component that's about policies, and that's European Commission, Věra, who's really behind it and making sure that actions are taken and it's not just words. So there will be some policies following up. Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much for this presentation. This was really enlightening. It's more a contribution than a question, just to say that we are launching this year in Cannes an award for the young female technician. It's the CST, it's not the High Technical Commission in France. We have an award for technician for since 1954, and we want this year to highlight and to show a young female technician. And so I'll invite you to watch on your social networks on next Saturday, the last Saturday, to find out an exceptional young woman and young technician that we pointed out from this selection.
Yes, we want to highlight her as well. So we're looking forward to the award being, chosen.
So can we take the floor here from Brussels?
Sure.
Yes. So perhaps to answer to some of the questions. So we will be delighted from the European Commission to partner up with the United Nations, because this is one among several initiatives that we have put in place over the last years to promote gender equality within the audiovisual industry and media industries at large. We launched 2 years ago in Cannes a Women on the Move initiative that really was aiming to create a community among the young talent. Unfortunately, last year we couldn't continue that initiative, but it's very much in our plans to really continue developing those initiatives. And when it comes to education, indeed, one of the main objectives of this campaign is to inspire young women to really that they know that they can do anything they want to do. So this educational component is a very, very important part of this project. As President Jourová mentioned already, the importance of education and really raising awareness. So this toolkit will be ready, I would say, after summer break. And we would like, together with our partner, Collectif to disseminate it as much as possible using all our multipliers, so it can be available in film schools, but also in secondary education. So again, if you're interested in partnering with us, we will, of course, be delighted to share email address and contact details, because we need ambassadors to pass the message, convey the message, and really help us make this campaign the success it deserves to be. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this presentation. It's been it's fantastic to see that there is so much progress going on within the European Union and more broadly within the industry itself. My question possibly is more pointed towards the European Union, but I will leave that to the floor to decide. Where are the greatest gains going to come in terms of breaking these stereotypes and encouraging women to enter these new roles, vocations and alike? Where are those quick wins going to come from, and where do you think the greatest portions of resistance will come from within the industry? Perhaps just as a broader answer rather than specific, as this is on notice. Thank you.
I can give you a quick answer from, at least with the 12 women I've spoken to, I can count at least 3 who said they've had to decide at some point in their career whether they wanted to pursue their career or have a child. And the 3 of them chose their career, but they're not necessarily happy for it, 10 years after that. And the industry is, in my experience, terrible when it comes to, mothers basically working in freelance jobs, mothers working in settings, mothers coming to festivals. There are very, very, very few festivals willing to accommodate. So that's one. I mean, then it concerns like women at a specific time in their lives, but it's a real issue in both in terms of in the production itself of films and in the afterlife of films, because not a lot of festivals accommodate for women directors who have needs for childcare, for support from family and things like that. That's one section that at least 3 out of 12 women cited very clearly.
So quite clearly there's a lack of support practically for supporting working mothers across the industry. That's something you've seen more broadly and from those ladies that you spoke to?
Yes. These are 3 stories that were reported to me from the 12, so it's quite a few. And yeah, in my own experience, I completely understood.
And do you believe that there's an appetite right now to hardwire in that support into these productions and into funding so that we have real change?
It's a funding issue. I mean, how do you, if you have a film running for this budget for so many weeks, how do you accommodate for, childcare needs on top of that? So for sure it's a funding issue, perhaps first and foremost, but it's also a mentality issue. I can tell you that all the festivals that I've been to with a newborn baby, no one paid for travel fares for my husband, who was willing to take days off to take care of the baby, but no one was willing to invite him. So again, how do you accommodate the two? You have to choose literally between being a mother or coming to defend your film at festivals. So part of it is, it's always money. They always say we don't have the money to invite someone else. But it's also making sure that you have the money to accommodate for those needs. That's the issue.
Well, I look forward to seeing that change. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much. And now I have a question actually for Delphine. I wanted to ask you, through your work at the advocacy group 50/50, what pushback are you getting from the industry where quotas are, of course, banned? I mean, no one wants quotas in France, and positive discrimination, affirmative actions are almost taboo. How are you overcoming those challenges?
Well, actually, yeah. Well, first of all, when we started, because before Collectif 50/50, there was another organization called Le Deuxième Regard, which we launched in 2013, and everybody was looking at us with crazy eyes, like, what is the issue? So at least now the issue is been defined and it's on the agenda when it comes to gender equality, because we have figures and it's very clear. I mean, you can say, like Věra was mentioning earlier, there are today in Europe around 50% women graduating from film schools, and yet there is 1 in 5 films only, so 20% films directed by women. So at some points, those women just simply disappear. And like Hind was actually saying, of course, this difficult, let's say, tricky time of maternity, of course, is always a moment. So it's not just that they disappear, but they usually disappear after 1 or 2 films. And the difficulty is really to stay, to have a long career as men and work as much as men. So it's a lot of difficulties that women have to overcome. But all of this now has been quite established. Of course, there are still people, pretending that there is no problem and it's all about, the times they are changing, so there's nothing to be done. But actually, we've heard that for so many years that actually, if you don't push actively for something, nothing happens. But I would say that the more difficulty we encounter is on the global thematic of inclusion and diversity, because in this area in Europe, we can't have figures. So we can't count. And as from the moment we can't count, people say, well, there is no problem. You know, it's always the same. I mean, oh yeah, but there are black people in the industry. And then they name,
that's a big problem.
And then they're going to name 3 people and they'll be like, okay, so we have black people. What's the problem? Well, you just named 3 people out of like an ocean of people. So it was the same with women at first, but at least for women, we could easily, I mean, the figures are easy. It's 50-50 and then you get the figures that you get. And, but for the rest, it's much harder.
Well, that's incredible. I believe that the European Commission is also facing those challenges, right? What can you tell us on those problems with that's pushback against affirmative action?
I think there are pushback, but there are also opportunities. And I think it's good that today we also think about opportunities that we have. This campaign, for example, is framed under a broader media and audiovisual action plan that is really aims at fostering the competitiveness, the resilience and transformation of the industry. And I think it's really, really extraordinary that diversity is considered in this plan as a driver of changes in the industry. So it's not something a bit aside, but it's something that we need to build in order for the industry to remain vibrant. And also another opportunity element that we have is through our funding instruments. For the first time under this Creative Europe Media Program that has been significantly reinforced with an increase in the budget of almost 70%, we are going to incentivize change. For the first time, we are going to ask some of the producers, for example, that will be presenting proposals for funding under Creative Europe Media to tell us what the diversity strategies are. So we are not imposing anything, but we are asking them, tell us, how do you intend to take this forward? What are you doing in your company? What do you plan to do behind or in front of the camera? And this will be assessed and rewarded. And we think that this could be actually a wonderful instrument to bring about change in practice. Also, this would allow us to have a wonderful wide array and knowledge of what is happening on the ground across Europe. And we would like really to make use of that knowledge for the benefit of the whole industry. So we really would like to come next year to come and tell you, out of this first year of experience, of really, these are the results. Because on that basis, we'll have, as Delphine said, a lot of data, a lot of knowledge that can inform further policy changes. So for us, this diversity and inclusion strategies is something that is here to stay. And it's something that we would like to develop gradually over time, also in close dialogue with you, with the industry, with public authorities. So I hope we stay tuned and hope to see you again in Cannes next year with more developments on our side.
Thank you so much. That's a great, yes, those are great actions, very concrete. That's what we need. And now I will ask maybe the last question to Safia, who can tell us what she's been hearing through the feminist organization, the news project that she's launched.
Oh, I just wanted to, I totally agree about what Delphine said.
Okay.
About, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. About what she said about monitoring. I mean, it's very, very important to equality and diversity in media industry is not a natural issue. You just have to forget it. It doesn't work. So everyone has to monitor, everyone. And the initiative of the BBC 50-50 to count women on screen is a step. In RTBF, we have also a monitoring. And if you really want to change things, you have to do it. There is no other way. After, there are other tools, but that's the first one if you want to have quick changes.
That's great. And I think the younger generation is actually way more, more familiar with this idea of affirmative action, right? And there is maybe less pushback amongst the young people.
Yeah, also because some studies says that 74% of the millennials are declare themselves feminists. I mean, that's very important.
There is hope.
And yeah. And if we want to go digital and if we want to catch a large audience, so we have to catch them. So we have to be open-minded about gender and race and diversity.
Thank you so much. So I think that's over. Thank you for being here and participating and asking questions.
Yes.